So good evening. We want to thank you and welcome you back to our Mayor Baraka's monthly women's meetings. Tonight we have a wonderful, wonderful woman who is here to present. And so we want to be respectful of time. And I thank you all for being here and being on time. So we have this being the women's meeting and the history of the women's meeting, the mayor just wanted women to be able to come together. We provide resources, share resources that we have here in our city, but we also wanted to share with you some success stories, and because we have quite a few. So for those of you who signed in, I did leave some city information on the table regarding our summer fun initiative that's getting ready to start. It's primary, most of that is geared towards the children. It is there are family things that happen. I also left outside some recreation calendars. That is a year-long calendar that happens in the events throughout the city. And I'm sorry, I'm Natasha Allen. I am the mayor's senior aide for the South Ward, and primarily we take care of constituent concerns for the South Ward, but this is a citywide meeting, so I do understand that people come from across the city and even outside of the city. So we did want to provide that information. Last month, I believe, we got a new list of city-owned lots. They're primarily lots, and then we have people that come in and talk about how we can begin to buy our blocks back and build on those. So there are some of the list here. Also outside on the table, on the sign-in table, there is information providing minority and women business entrepreneurs, So I don't want to hold you up. I'm stumbling a bit. I'm nervous. I'm, trying not to focus on the camera. So again, with sharing our stories, we have a beautiful young woman. She owns some restaurants in and around Newark, New Jersey. And I was fortunate enough to sit in a seminar that she was doing, and I was awed by the things that she has been able to accomplish. And so she shares her story so easily, and it's very inspiring, for us to come from Newark. Sometimes we don't know the things, and when we look around at businesses and things, a lot of times people leave out of the city. They take the money, they make our money, but they take their money and they go home. And just to know that she's here in the community, she banks with us, she shops with us, and we can eat with her. And I just thought that it was interesting, and I wanted her to come here and share her story with us. And she's a woman, she's awesome, and she's very inspiring. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to some. Adina, your last name just slipped my mind. I'm nervous, guys.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Do I even need a microphone? Okay. Okay, hi, my name is Adina Bayo. To some that don't know me, I am the owner of the Newark IHOP, the Irvington IHOP, the Cornbread Restaurant in Maplewood, and IHOP in Patterson, and I'm doing the development right across the street from City Hall. And then also on Tuesday, I'm actually opening my very first cornbread restaurant into Walmart in Pittsburgh. Yeah. So it's been very busy, but I have a really good team. And when they told me I had to be here today, I'm like, sure, we'll move some things around, we'll be here, because I love my sisters. I think we, as Black women, there's so much put upon us, there's so much burden, we have to figure things out, so many things out, oftentimes on a whim. The standards are never the same for us, even in business. So whenever I have the opportunity and the time to connect with my sisters, I always do it. I was having a conversation actually today with someone, and I was talking a little bit how, when the conversation came up, and I said, I've been successful because of Black women. I don't know what it's like when people say to me, we don't support each other. That's not my story. And oftentimes when people say, oh, we're like crab in a barrel, I don't know that, because oftentimes what people forget is that crabs don't belong in a barrel. So when you put them in a barrel, the fact that they have to crawl and pull on each other just to survive, because that environment is not something they're used to. So the next time someone says, oh, we're like crab in a barrel, have them think a little bit what that means. Because we don't belong in a barrel. If you put us in distressful situation, we will act distressed, because we don't belong in those ecosystems, right? So my story have always been, I've been successful because of women, all women of color, white women. I believe that there is a connectivity between us women. And the more we get together, the more we realize that we are not each other's enemies, and whenever we can share resources for each other, we would do it. And I'll let you guys know very quickly how the conversation started. So I'm in the salon earlier, and I'm getting my hair done. And the conversation happened about, yeah, you know, black people, we're like crabs in a barrel. And I made a statement that if we're crab in a barrel, it's crabs do not belong in a barrel. If you put them in a barrel, they're going to do whatever they can to survive in that barrel. So if you're comparing us as black people as crab in a barrel, realize that we've been put in a situation where we don't belong, and it's a fight to survive, right? So I always stated that. I said, my success have hinged upon me being supported by women of color, some white women, Hispanic women, but women have always been my support system. And one in particular that I always go to is a sister by the name of Nicole. Nicole, to this day, is probably like the only person of color at IHOP that can actually decide if you can be a franchise or not. And me and her joke, and we laugh all the time, that it's a shame. She said, Dina, I've been here for, I think she's been there for about 26 years now. And literally, she goes, it's lonely up here. She's in California, she's on the 7th floor. And whenever I do call her, she's like, girl, it's so good to hear your voice. It's just good to hear a sister voice, period. But I say that because I wouldn't be standing here today and saying that I own IHOP franchises if it wasn't for Nicole. Nicole was, at the time, she was an assistant to the person that make a decision about franchise development. She's now the director of that unit, but for a very long time, she was the assistant to that person. And when I first got introduced to Nicole, it was rough. She's a no nonsense, get to the point, don't waste my time. There's a lot of people calling me. So one thing I actually learned from her is I don't waste people's time. If I go into a meeting or I have a conversation, a phone call, whatever, I'm very short and to the point. And it was in 2005, the first time I got on the phone with Nicole. And I have been rejected by IHOP Corporate for my first IHOP. And I'm not used to rejection. I don't take it well. And none of us should be used to rejection. Because I do believe that once you get in a space where you don't question things while people are saying no to you, you easily become defeated. And no doesn't have to be a bad thing. Sometimes no's are actually good for you. You just need to get to the reason why. I just want to know why. Maybe I can fix something. Eventually, that will get me to my yes, right? It's just, tell me why you're saying no. Was it something about my proposal? Whatever. The first time IHOP said no to me, it was plain and simple. It wasn't personal. It wasn't anything against me, but I needed to scratch the surface a little bit more to find out why. So the first time IHOP said no to me, I called. I called and I asked, I said, who do I speak to? I just got a rejection letter from IHOP corporate. Like, who do I speak to? And at the time, I was told the person's name, but the young lady pretty much told me that if I wanted to speak to him, it would be like 3 months. So I said, okay, well, who's his assistant? Like, who worked for him? And she mentioned Nicole. Nicole is a common name. I didn't actually think Nicole was a black person. I actually did not. And I read a lot. I read about business stuff, strategizing about how to get to yes, the best time to call someone, the best time to have a meeting with someone. And I've always known the best time to get a yes from someone is at 4:30 or 4:55 in the afternoon. Their brain is overworked, they're tired, their thinking capacity just isn't there. So I called Nicole at like 4:55. And to my surprise, Nicole picked up the phone. And I introduced myself. I said, Nicole, my name is Adina. And I told her a brief backstory. She said, yeah, I know, but what do you need from me? I said, well, I got this rejection letter from IHOP, and I just want to know why. She said, well, what did it say? It just didn't say anything. It just said that you guys weren't interested in developing right now in Irvington. Is that true? She said, well, it could be. I don't have your file in front of me, but what's the address? I gave her the address. She said, can I call you tomorrow morning? I said, well, why don't I call you? I know you're very busy, because I wanted to call her right back the next day at 5 something. Not to be a nuisance, but I know that that's probably the best time to get an answer from Nicole. So she said, well, if I don't call you by 10 o'clock tomorrow, call me tomorrow. And I contacted Nicole, and at this time now, I fully understood that Nicole was someone of color that was on the other end. And we share a mutual interest, and I really, literally started stalking her. I went online, I typed Nicole, and I wanted to know, what was Nicole? I found out she's from, South Central LA. She worked for IHOP corporate. And I just got some really basic intel from her. And the second time I spoke to Nicole, the conversation was a lot abrupt. She told me, listen, I'm in my way to a meeting, a committee meeting. I cannot talk to you right now. This is the second time Nicole had brushed me off. The third time she would have sympathy. She kind of owed me something because she keeps brushing me off. The next time I speak to Nicole is 5 o'clock. And I explained to her, again, Nicole, I got turned down by IHOP. What's happening? What can I do to turn this no? Nicole said to me, well, we usually don't reverse our decision, but if you want to know why, I'm going to open the file and I'll tell you why. And then she said to me, oh, there's an IHOP very close to you. It's in Newark. This location would really affect that of IHOP, and we just didn't have that. And I paused, and I said to Nicole, Nicole, I understand that you guys cannot really do IHOP close to each other, but let me give you a little background on Irvington IHOP, or not Irvington at the time. And I just went in a really basic conversation about what I was dealing with in Irvington. There was nowhere quality to eat. If I wanted to eat at an IHOP, I had to get in my car, come to Bergen Street, wait 45 minutes or an hour, because at the time, it was probably one of the closest IHOP, their first urban IHOP, or go to 22. And I gave her all of that information, and she paused. She said, okay, here's what I'm going to do for you. She said, I'm going to take this up with the director. If you can, email me everything that you have on IHOP. It's going to be a long shot, but I'll give it a try. I think a week and a half later, I got a call from IHOP. She said, okay, the committee is going to hear from you. I'm going to open the door. What you say to them is going to be all on you. And I remember I had a very good girlfriend of mine. And I said to her, I said, we need to put a proposal together for IHOP, and we need to make it very compelling and why Irvington needs an IHOP. And every time I'm doing a proposal, I always go back to that proposal because it was just raw and extremely emotional. And everyone always said, don't get so emotional as a female. That's a lie. And I don't believe that we as women to be competitive or anything like that, we should shy away from our given rights. We are emotional beings. And whenever we can reach in those things and use them, rightfully so, not in a manipulative way or anything like that, I think emotions are good. It's okay to cry when something don't go right. It's okay. I cry every day. Sometimes more often than I want to, but anyway, we put a very compelling proposal together for IHOP Corporate. It was raw, it was emotional, but it was the truth. And what I essentially said to them that it's sad that they were overlooking a community such as Irvington because now they have made it that it's not deserving of something as quality as IHOP. And to my surprise, they bought it. They said, okay, we'll let you open the IHOP, but you gotta pay like $10,000 to the Bourbon Street owner because you're not infringing on his right. It was crazy. But I said, okay, no problem. I paid it. And the IHOP opened. No, IHOP opened. I was 27 years old when IHOP approved me for my first IHOP franchisee. I didn't open it until I was 29 years old. And not because I was sitting around just willy-nilly. I didn't open it because, again, there were struggles along the way. I got a bunch of no's, a bunch of we don't believe in you. But, like I started this thing by saying that we as women, we figure things out. It's never easy, nowhere that I've been in room, actually, where I'm made to believe or think that I don't belong in that room. Oftentimes, but this is what I do know. Hopefully that I would never be in any room that I don't belong in that room. Because anywhere you're at, you wholeheartedly belong there. Either by favor of God or by your own grit and your own hard work. But we are in the system. Obviously, we're in a society where this system, oftentimes I feel like, just wasn't designed for us or our success, especially black women. It just wasn't designed to see us as successful. But I don't let that carry me. That's not what drives me. What drives me really is waking up every morning and doing the best I can to change perspective and to change mindset. Because oftentimes I say to myself, I may be the only person of color in this room, but my action in this room, my behavior in this room is going to change somebody's mindset that have never interacted with a black female before. So I'm sitting in this room not just for me, I'm sitting in this room for the people that's going to come behind me. But better yet, how about the ones that weren't able to sit in that room? And I said, I stand alone, but I come on the shoulders of so many people that have somehow paved the way to make my journey a little bit more smoother. Thank you. So my journey as a female, especially a black female entrepreneur, has not been easy. You know, there's a statistic that said African American women last year, well, it was 2017, we were the fastest growing franchise, see where my mind is at, entrepreneur group. We rose 450 times than any other group. But when it comes to our funding, less than 2% of our growth or anything is supported by any financial institution. And I can speak to that. Oftentimes, people say to me, well, Dina, what do you got to worry about money right now? No. Financial institutions weren't built. I'm not white, I'm not male. They weren't built to look at me as equally as they would see a Caucasian male. And I tell my partners, they're white, I said, look, listen, our stories and our experience are completely different. And oftentimes I said, I need to be at that table to make sure that I'm speaking for the ones that you aren't capable of hearing from, right? So I'll tell you a very quick story about my experience about getting financing. They said yes to me. They said, yes, go ahead and open this IHOP. Go ahead and do it. When I got my first IHOP approval, I was 27 years old. It took me 3 years to get any bank to say yes to me. Not because my credit was bad, no, my credit was damn good. Not because I didn't have the money, I had money. I had a substantial amount of money in my bank account. You know what there was dwelling on? There was dwelling of my inexperience to run a restaurant. Everybody said to me, I could not run a restaurant. They won't say because I was young, black, and ambitious. It could be. I was constantly told I don't have the experience. How can I not have the experience? I've been working in a restaurant since I was 5 years old. I've been working in my grandmother's restaurant and her farm since I was 5 years old. How can you tell me I don't have the experience? I just don't have the experience you're looking for, right? So, when I finally did get a bank to say yes to me, the rules were different for me. If the traditional bank asked you to put 20% down, I was asked to put 35% down. So they gave me a loan for $2.5 million, but I had to come to the table with almost $800,000. Now, how many people that are 27 years old, walking around with $800,000? They don't look like you and I. So what I didn't have a trust fund to go dig into, but what I did, I had real estate. And I've always been someone from the age of 21. I had a lot of real estate. So what I had to do, I had to liquidate my 401k plan. I had to liquidate every equity in my properties to show up at the table to close on my first IHOP. Literally, when I opened that first IHOP, I was bankrupt. I had used every resource possible just to open that. Now, let me tell you what that does to someone going into a business that distressed for capital. Your decisions are distraught. You're not making decisions for your business in the right frame of mind. Your brain goes into something called fight or flight. And literally, I went into that restaurant with no 401k plan, all of my houses completely maxed out for mortgages, just so I can open my first IHOP. And I did it. And I don't know how I was able to pull it off, but I did it. And I said to myself, something just isn't working. The institutions that are built to work for us aren't working for us, at least the way they're supposed to. There's so many businesses in our communities that are financed, that are self-financed. I give out loans all the time, and it's not a lot of loans. You're talking about $10,000 for someone to open a hair salon. But where are the financial institutions that are supposed to be there for us? They aren't there. They are not in our main street. They just aren't there. So now I sit on the Federal Reserve Board, and I sit there and I bring my perspective, and I say to them, the institutions and the programs that you guys have are not working for us. And I tell my story whenever I can. I have a lot of accent, but I still have anxiety if I have to go to a traditional bank for banking. I do. And I said to myself, you're going to take my balance sheet and you're going to compare it to a traditional IHOP that's operating in a suburb that is not dealing with the same with the same socioeconomic problems that I, as an IHOP owner in urban America, has to deal with. That's what you're going to be comparing me to. And the outcome is not going to be good for me. If you pull my balance sheet, yes, you will see that my operating expenses are slightly higher than that of your IHOP that's in somewhere else. Because yes, I do have to pay for security. I do. Do I want to? No. But it's part of the issues that it's part of the social economic issue that I deal with in the areas that I operate. Right? You may see that you'll find that I may have to pay rent for somebody. I may have one of my employees that being evicted, and I might have to step in, and I may have to pay her rent. Because I cannot see a sister that's being evicted with her 2 kids. Or I may have an employee that mother may pass, and they have no insurance. And who are they coming through? They have to come to me. Now I have to pay for that burial services. Or I may have an employee that, you know what? Adina, I'm not going to the doctor. I don't have insurance. You may see that, yes, I have paid doctor's visits. I have paid child care expenses. So don't compare me to someone that's in a cushy suburb somewhere. It's not the same. It's not going to work out well for me. And it's always been my desire to create something for us. To create a place that we can go to and say, this is for us. When I was an IHOP franchisee, I've always gotten in trouble because I'm always the one that's selling soul food in my restaurant when I don't need to be selling it. Hello? So for a very long time, I got in trouble with IHOP because I wasn't supposed to be selling soul food in my restaurant, and I did. Because no well-behaved woman has ever changed anything or left her mark on this world. So as well-behaved as I am, I'm oftentimes not well-behaved. So I got a very threatening letter from IHOP that I had to cease and desist, or else it was going to come and take my franchise away. And I was so annoyed because the soul food menu is about 12% of my gross revenue. You do the math. A store that's doing $3 million have something that's selling 12% of that $3 million is going to this particular thing. And I have said, nope, we're a pancake house and yada yada. So we fought. And we came to an agreement. I would sell certain things, but I wouldn't sell certain things. Like I couldn't sell the oxtail anymore, couldn't do the ribs, No. We still have soul food at IHOP. It's just a short version. So it's always set in my mind that I wanted to create a place for us to go and look at it and be extremely proud. One day, here comes this customer, older lady, she comes every Sunday, and we used to make this cornbread because we used to sell corn cakes. If you're an IHOP fan, you remember it was a long time ago. It used to be the corn cake. And she was pissed because I could no longer sell her the cornbread. She was angry. And I went to her and I tried to apologize, and she chewed me the hell out. And have you ever been chewed out by an old lady on a Sunday with her purse and a hat on? And I said to myself, okay. And I'm walking away from this lady, and I said to myself, one day, I'm going to create her ass somewhere where she go and have cornbread all goddamn day. And that's exactly what I said. I was so angry. I wasn't angry at her, but I was angry at the situation I found myself in. So I went upstairs and I wrote it down, cornbreads. And I just left it alone. And I went ahead and I said to myself, I want to open a soul food restaurant because I see something that IHOP corporate, either they don't see or they don't want to see. So I started putting together this really amazing place called Cornbread. And it just started very innocently called Cornbread. And I had a whole thing figured out, I just didn't have a chef. So 2010, I got pregnant, And 2011, I had my first baby, and I'm still, cornbread is still in the back of my mind. And I'm looking for a child care center for my son, and a friend of mine insists that I visit this place in something called Zadie's Nurturing Den. And I visited this place, and I immediately fell in love with it because it was owned by this black family. And I was just so inspired by her story and everything she told me, and I was struck with just so similar. And I remember she said, well, if you send your baby here, I'm gonna treat your baby like it's mine. And if you're a working mother, that's the best thing you could ever hear from any human being mom. And immediately, I registered my son, and one day, I picked him up, and Ms. Zadie had a dinner for me. And this dinner changed her life, and it changed my life. And it was the best damn soul food I've ever had. Her mac and cheese was slay, her cornbread was amazing, and I immediately called her. I said, Ms. Zadie, what is this? You made this? She said, yes, I did, baby. Yes, I did. And I said, well, Ms. Zadie, we gotta open a restaurant then. She said, Dina, I'm old. I'm 65 years old. I ain't opening no restaurant. I said, yes, you are. It took me about 2 or 3 years to convince Miss Zadie that she was gonna do it, but she did. And I'm African, just don't say no to me. And I took that. So Miss Zadie said, okay, fine, I'll do it, but I ain't gonna be doing a lot, Dina, because I'm old with Dina. And I said, okay, Miss Zadie, do what you can, and I'll do the rest. And the concept was coming together. I had Ms. Zadie on board. I had everything on board except for the location. Did you guys remember B. Hathaway? Okay. So B. Hathaway, when it was going out of business, I initially spoke to them about them selling me their liquor license in their restaurant. I think at the time they was asking for like $900,000. And I said no, I just couldn't afford it at the time, and I told them I wasn't taking it. So about 2 or 3 years later, I'm always driving by the building. And one day, as I dropped my son up to daycare and I'm coming down Springfield Avenue, I see a big for sale sign. It said for sale. I immediately turn around, I called the broker, and I said to him, I said, you're selling the building? He said, yes. I said, how much you guys selling the building for? He said, 125. I said, where are you, and how can I meet with you right now? He goes, it's 8:30 in the morning. What do you mean where I'm at? I met with him, and immediately we closed on the building. 2 years later, we opened the doors to Cornbread, our first location in Maplewood. And the reason why I'm really excited about Cornbread is because Cornbread is something that I created from the space of, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you how, but I'm going to show you very, very good. But I created Cornbread for really somewhere that we can go and really be proud of it and say this was created by one of us or by us. And every day I'm tweaking Cornbread. I'm tweaking it in a sense that I'm tweaking and working on it as a national brand. And we've done a lot with it in the short time that we have been open. Like, Tuesday we'll open our first store in Pittsburgh with Walmart, and we signed an 80-store deal with Walmart. And that's huge for a concept that haven't really been open for over 2 years. And in the spring of next year, we're going to franchise Cornbread out. It's going to be the first franchise solely owned by 2 African American women. And for me, I want to be in that space to be able to relate to the women that are going to be coming through our door, especially African American women, minority women, to say, these are the pitfalls that I went through as a female franchisee. How can I make your journey less burdensome so you can walk through these doors and be successful, more successful than ours, what I have. So Cornbread for me is In a sense, is my coming together moment, really in a sense, is it comes from a pure place of I want our ancestors, the people that labor, the people that were able to not eat anything but from the farm, eat the leftovers, to say our food is not subpar. There is this marginalization of ethnic food. Why is it that there is no national brand for soul food? Why? I have Mexican national brand, I have Chinese national brand, I have every nationality. Why not soul food? Why not? So for me, it comes from a place of I'm going to put us on the map. And I'm not going to do it in a subtle way. It's going to be very intentional, and we're going to go big or go home. So usually when I get 3 o'clock, that's where I stop. No, I'm good. I know I have 20 minutes. We've used up a little bit. I'll have maybe 2 Q&A. Anybody want to have a question? I'll answer. If not, you can take the mic. It's been a long day. Oh, sure. Okay, no problem.
I don't have a question, I just want to make a statement that it's not awe-inspiring, it's beyond awe-inspiring to hear your story. I think it's something that y'all know is written, but it needs to be written. And I know you're still writing a story, but it needs to be written so that, you know, black women, white women, women in general will be able to tell your story and write their own story and history as well. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? And I just want to share with the audience that the young woman that just, gave the testament to Anita has a beautiful, beautiful ice cream parlor in Murray Street. That's the best ice cream in town. I don't know if you would love all of that stuff, but I can attest that that's the best ice cream in the world.
Right.
From that restaurant on Murray Street, 1024, I knew that, 1024 Murray Street. Salon Ice Cream Parlor is the best. Any more questions for Nina?
Good evening, everyone. My question is why urban?
Why not? Sorry. When I was a little girl, really growing up, I worked at a McDonald's on Springfield Avenue, and when I left that McDonald's, I made a promise to myself that if I buy my very first house, it would be in Irvington. Now, when I came back from college, Irvington was different, but in my mind, it was the same. So I just purely came from that perspective of I just really loved the place. Yeah, so it wasn't really, I'm a Newark girl. I was raised in Newark. I went to Newark Public Schools, but I think Irvington, from that initialness, had just always, just really, it stuck with me. Yeah, you're welcome.
More questions for Nina? Thank you, Rosina. Thank you, Rosina. I want to talk about time.
So again, this being the mayor's citywide women's meeting, I thank the mayor for staying. So sir, we would like to share some words for our women here. We would love to have you.
So I've heard Adina tell that story a bunch of times, and each time it's better and better to me. I think it's an incredible story. Weequahic High School girl, sophomore, awesome. Particularly since people don't know these type of stories and they think of negativity when they think about city oftentimes, and our young people that grow up in this town, She's doing an awesome job. Just had a meeting with her earlier today. And we're gonna work to try to get cornbread in the airport. So I think that's important for us to do as well. That's something, I don't know if I should have said that, but we're gonna work on that. You know, there's a lot of development happening there, a lot of expansion there, and we wanna make sure that we are present and accounted for in that space. And she's ready to work. You know, across the street, she has her development going on, IHOP across the street, and residential towers across the street as well. Took us a minute to fight with the housing authority to make them believe that she actually had the capacity to do the project, and that's really what the issue was. So when she explains these things, I know for a fact that she's telling the truth, because the folks that you talk to, usually men, who you know, doubt that she has the capacity and ability, when they see her, this woman can't do this, what she's saying. And usually that's at the beginning what allows people the opportunity to, or allow you the opportunity to do what they think you can do. You have to provide a performer, a capital stack. They have to have faith in your ability to complete the project, and faith in your ability to manage the project, and faith in your ability to get the financing and do the things that you need to do. And usually when Adina walks in the room, people may not believe that just based on what they see. African American, young woman from the city of Newark, they believe she don't have the, you know, the capacity, the wherewithal, the stamina to do these kinds of projects, especially since we're used to dealing with huge white male companies that come into the city with millions and millions of dollars that are usually not their own money, by the way, that are usually financed by these institutions who believe in them, and they're putting the front money up so they can be able to invest in a larger project. What she's not saying is that a lot of that money has to be her own money in the beginning, and part of it, I think, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, a lot of the real estate allowed her the opportunity to do that, which is why we in the city are trying to give people the opportunity to get real estate, to get property on a small level. And there's always disagreements and arguments around how much should we sell property for the people, right? $4 a square foot, $6 a square foot, $8 a square foot. And my mindset is what we really want is the taxes, because the one-time hit goes away like this. Even if we sell a property for $150,000, $150,000 in an $800 million budget is really nothing, right? And it's going to go in the general fund, and you not even know it's going to be there. So we're here arguing, even if we sell a property for $400,000, we arguing about $400,000. The real value is in the taxes. So when you put that property back on the tax rolls that has not paid taxes for 50 years, even if it's abated, it's paying money that has been getting $0, right? So you're getting some money off of a property that you were getting no money off of for the last 50, 60 years. And then when you begin to start talking about folks like you in the audience buying property and getting property, the property becomes your wealth. It becomes the opportunity for you to use it as collateral and leverage to do larger things that you want to do. So if you buy 2 or 3 pieces of property in the city and you develop that property and you keep it, and you're not trying to flip the property, because we get in this mindset that as soon as we buy it, we want to flip it all the time, and we think the money is in the flipping. Money is actually in leveraging the property itself and using it as the collateral to go to the bank and get a loan or get a mortgage or whatever it is you're going to get off of that. And we usually don't see it that way. And then sometimes, like now in the men's meetings, we talk about those kinds of things, because Sari, who I think should speak to you guys as well, gave a great presentation about that whole concept of how leveraging the property has worked for him. He's not buying property to flip it like they tell you on the internet or TV. He's buying property to keep it so he can use it to do larger things. And we don't understand that. We talk about the city and ourselves as victims, as opposed to being a part of what's going on, how to manage and control the direction of what's happening in the city. It's easier for us to say we victims. And I'm not going to be long, but I talked about my boy Draymond Green in the basketball game, right? So at the end of the day, there was a play where he went down the court, and it was 2 players on him. He was the only person down the court, right? And he tried to get the referees to help him, right? So it's 2 players on him. He the only one there. So he makes a move, and he may get a foul. And I told the guys, somebody should have told Draymond Green that the referees don't play for the Warriors, right? Because he thought that they were on his team, and they're not on his team. And so what he did was protested. He sat there, he protested, and he should have protested. But one thing he forgot to do, which was get back on defense, right? Because the game is still being played. And so the problem is he lost the game. So now even his protest doesn't make a difference because they're not going to play the game over, right? So what he should have done, what he could have done was be angry, run down the court, say something to the refs, play defense, get the ball back, score, then go to the refs and say, that was crazy what y'all did. That's not right. Don't do that again. And because now we get something out of it, right? And so our job is to make sure, we need to make sure as this place is moving forward that we get something out of it, right? We have to get something out of what's going on. And so our opportunity to do that is now, but it's not forever. And that's what we have to understand, that the windows don't stay open for us all of the time. And as Adina pointed out, the system is not designed, and you can say that a million times if you want to. The system is not designed for you. And you knowing that just means you woke. It don't mean you informed. Right? So all you know is what's going on. You don't know how to do nothing about it. You're just saying, oh, it's not designed for us. Yeah, we knew that 400 years ago. So what are you doing today in the present sense, because you know it ain't designed for you, and you know they're not going to do anything for you. You know nothing is going to happen. So what is your defensive strategy? What is your offensive strategy in this situation? Like, what are you going to do as you move forward in this thing? How are you going to care for yourself, for your family, your block, your community? How are you going to change the conditions of what's going on in your city, in your neighborhood, besides you getting angry about it, right? You obviously have to do something about it, and the rules are not designed that you win. So they're not designed that you win. It wasn't put in place for you to be victorious. And so when you say the rules are not fair, that's true. And they're not fair. In fact, they made the rules without thinking of you as a human being. So to them, it is fair. So you're trying to convince people to play fair with you when they believe they are being fair, right? Because they don't see you in the same, caliber as themselves. And so you have to factor that in when you're playing the game, right? When I was a coach, I said, in order for us to beat this team, we have to beat by 20. Because you have to beat the cheat, right? So if we're winning by 10, we lose by 3. By the time the game is over, if you factor in everything else that's going to happen. So if we win it by 20 with a minute left in the fourth quarter, we might win by 10. Right, but the idea is we still win, right? We still win, and because we playing the game not to get angry, we playing the game to win, and we have to, show our young people and everybody else that we in this game to win. Like all of us, we here to win. We're not here to be upset. We here to win. Like what are we doing that's fostering our ability to win with problems that have existed before you were even born? Before you even were born, these things were going. Adina's not the first person to run into these problems. But, I mean, she has a specific strategy that I think should be shared and people talk about and figure out how to move this thing forward, how to get this thing done the way we need to get it done. Listen, if we follow the laws of nature, the regular universal laws, right? The universal laws apply to everybody. Right? The problem is we don't respond. We're not following universal laws of trust, of justice, of loyalty, of all of those things. Listen, it takes the light of the sun 8 minutes and 20 seconds to hit the earth. It hit the earth exactly at the same spot on the equator, at the exact spot to make the earth rotate around its axis at 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. It spins on the axis and around the sun at that same time, right? It is done perfectly and in order. And the funny thing about it, the earth is not even a circle, it's an oblong. You ever rode on a bike and the wheels are out of whack? It's wobbly, right? It's out of control. That's the earth. And the earth is moving so fast around, you're not moving. You don't even feel it, right? And not only is it moving and you don't feel it, it dips 4 times. Boom, 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 boom. You don't feel none of those dips. All you do is see the seasons change from winter to summer to spring to fall because of those dips in the earth when the sun hits it at the exact spot at the equator and gets it to rotate on its axis. That's order. That's order. we have been operating out of order for so long, and then we wonder why we don't have the relationships that we need to have with one another, that we can't do the things that we need to do, because we're just out of order. We out of order with each other. We out of order all of the time. We treat each other disrespectfully. We nasty. We doing things to destroy one another. We just out of order. Our kids are out of order. The neighborhood is out of order, and then we don't want order. We don't want order put on us. And the universal pieces of order will help us go against these things that are man-made, designed to hurt and destroy us. And that's just what I think. That's just my opinion, right? And I think that order is purposefully done. And if we are in accordance with that order, see, the sun don't get to say it's not doing that. Right? The earth don't get to say I'm not rotating on my axis. And if it did do that, we would die. Right? We would die. And so we have to come up with strategy and stay true to the order of that strategy in order to get these things done that we want to accomplish. It's serious what we're trying to do. People have been trying to fix this thing for 400 years. Who the hell you think you are that you just came here yesterday and you can fix all of these things that all these people have been trying to fix for generations before you? Brighter, smarter, more brilliant than you, from Du Bois to Douglas to Turner to all these people I can name. Brilliant people all over the world who speak multiple languages, who had all of these things. Marcus Garvey, who created all this stuff. And here you come yesterday, you believe that somehow you can fix all of these things because you just read a book or two, right? Or because you're just angry now. Your anger is going to give you the ability to fix all these things that 400 years of our struggle has not been able to perfect yet. The only thing you can do is add on to a trajectory of things that are happening, play your part, and do it in order, and hopefully you advance us a little further. That's it. That's it. I mean, to me, it's simple. It's simple. In August, we're going to have our first family meeting. That means that in August, we're going to have everybody in the room, the men and the women. We're going to have everybody in the room in August and get that dynamic going, right? Because on my way out, what we're really trying to do and what we don't understand is that business is about family. The smallest unit in the country, in the world, is the family. The smallest unit is the family, right? We still trying to establish relationships with people because we like them, right? He's cute, I like his shoes, I like the way he walks. This is about business. We putting our families together, right? Our families are coming together for a reason. We bringing families together. And the unit of your family is designed, that's what family business is about. It's about the family business. These guys, we run around watching The Godfather and all these things. We get excited about this. The machismo make us watch that because we like the shooting and the power and all of that. But really, it's a story of family. It's a story of a family and family business. That's what it's about. So how do we establish a business for our families and stop trying to fight other people to unemploy their children for ours? Right? Because that's basically what we're doing. We asking people, you mad at folks who are hiring their kids and their families because that's what they're supposed to do. That's the law of the universe. They're supposed to hire their family. Oh, they're not hiring us. It's not your store. It's not your store, it's their store. They're not forcing you to buy their goods. Nobody put a gun in your head and told you to buy out of that store. The store ain't got no window. It's dirty. It's rats running around. The food is horrible. You still buying out the store. Nobody told you you have to go to McDonald's or you have to go to White Castle. Nobody forced you to go to these places. They put something in your mind and you're going on your own. Nobody's forcing you to spend money on other people's children so they can go to college, they can have a vacation and do all this, and your kids on the corner doing donuts and stolen cars, riding around shooting people with paintballs and nowhere to go in their community. Nobody's telling you to support them people. Support your own stuff. Like, you mad at they buying stuff? Buy it yourself. Put your group together. Put your money together. Pool your resources and say you want this. You mad at the abandoned building that you stand in front of every single day. That's what I tell the guys. You mad at this abandoned building that's been on your block for 15 years and y'all stand in front of it, defecate in front of it, do all kind of stuff in front of it, play dice in front of it, all kind of stuff. When y'all gonna put y'all money together and buy the property? It's $25,000. Right? Buy it. You like purple, paint it purple. You understand? But listen, I mean, don't stand here and complain about what somebody is doing to you, tough guy. You're the tough guy. People running you out of your neighborhood. Well, where are they? Who are these people that are doing this? And when are you going to do something about it? And people get upset because I'm putting the onus on you to take responsibility to do something. And that's not because I don't believe that there's somebody doing something to us, because I believe that there are people doing stuff to us. Trust me. I just don't believe they're going to stop. I don't believe they're going to stop. That's my opinion. I don't think they're going to ever stop. Look, they asked Mitch McConnell about reparations. What did he say? I wasn't here 150 years ago. I wasn't here 150 years ago. And they're not going to do nothing about it. Like, somebody owe you some money, and the people that owe you ain't going to pay you, so now what you going to do? And that's the point, right? So now what you going to do? Because Mitch McConnell ain't doing it. He ain't doing it. And those people are not going to pass a bill for reparations. We can fight and we're going to do all of that, and I pray that it happens one day. But in the meantime, right? In the meantime, what are you doing now in the meantime? Like in the present sense, in the meantime, what you gonna do? You gonna sit around and watch more poverty and unemployment and death happen in your community until Mitch McConnell decides to give you reparations? That's crazy. It's crazy. So you're putting your fate and the fate of your family and generations in the hand of racist white men. Right? And so the idea is you have to do something now. Like Adina said, you're gonna get told not to do it. And you know why the men's meetings get larger and larger? Because I tell them the truth. Look, you're going to come to City Hall, people are going to deny you. They're going to tell you no. They're going to give you the runaround. They're going to say this ain't going to work, that ain't going to work. It's people that work here that are designed to destroy your ideas. They don't want it to happen. They don't believe in it. They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in you. That ain't an excuse to give up, to say, I've been down there for 3 days and I got the runaround. We've been here for 400 years. It's about the runaround. You can't, 3 days? Are you kidding me? It took me 3 days, they're giving me the runaround. So what? You can't deal with the lady at the desk, and we had to deal with lynchers in the woods? You gotta be kidding me. You better take your butt back there the next day and keep doing it over and over and over again until you get what you want. It's just that simple. And yeah, it shouldn't be this way, and we need to fix it. And if you tell me, I'll try to help you identify the person. But in the meantime, you got to go to that office and make the people do what they're paid to do. It's just that simple. You got to make them do it. Look, I came here. This is my 3rd time here. I filled this out. They told me to come the next day. I came. I'm being patient. I'm going to wait here. I need to see somebody, please, because I've done everything I need to do. Either tell me what I need to do next or tell me what I'm doing is not right, but I need to have some information about what's going on because, listen, I bought this property. I got guys in a thing who hanging in there. They done put a LOI in. They're getting responses. They got properties. They're hanging in there. They're hanging in there. They come to me. They go through all of the ritual and all of the stuff, and I tell them, the really bad thing about it is I can't help you individually, because if I try to help you as an individual, then they're gonna come get me and say I helped you as an individual, and now I got something to do with it, right? And we can't allow them to put us in that box. So I need you to go through everything you need to get through, and when you get to the finish line, I can help you get over. I can help you get over the finish line, but you have to get to the finish. I can get you in the door, and I can get you over the finish line. Everything in between, you got to do it. I can get you at the meeting. You got to get in. You got to do the numbers in the meeting. You got to do your numbers. And then when you get all the way to the edge, I can help you get over the edge, right? But I can't do the rest for you. You got to write your own proposal. You got to hire your own people. You got to raise your own dollars. You got to do the things. You got to put the grind in yourself, and then come to me and say, look, we on the 5-yard line. Mr. Mayor, we having an issue. We're on a 5-yard line. All we need is a little nudge, and we'll get there. And we'll get there. Give me some support. Boom. That's what we want to do for you. That's what we want to do. And there are a lot of people taking advantage of it, and I want you ladies in here to take advantage of it as well, because we're not always going to have this opportunity. We're not going to always have this opportunity. Listen, I didn't get in this position to agree with everybody. I'm not here to agree with everybody or to placate you. I didn't here to make you feel good or placate you or tell you what you want to hear or dance to the music that you play. I'm going to do what I believe is the right thing to do, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. You have to take advantage of what's happening now, right? In this atmosphere, in this situation, in this condition, you have to take advantage of it. And that's it. Look, I'm not going to even waste a lot of energy fighting some fights. Why? Because there are bigger fights that we have to fight every single day to make it possible for the people who came to grind. Because there are people who came here to grind. They putting their grinders on, they ready to work, they want to get this thing done immediately. I got to make that happen. I got to provide a pathway so you can go ahead and get that done, right? So you can provide for your family, your neighbors, your city, whatever it is that you got your intentions on doing, so you can be able to do that. And if you have a business, you should be using this as an opportunity to sell your business, to sell it to everybody in this room and people that are watching you on the TV, right? I sell sneakers, I sell shirts, everybody's thing. People come to me and give me their card, say my business today. Take my sneakers off. This sneaker was made by a black man from the city of Newark. I do that, and they thank you because they get hits because of that. We giving them advertising, and I tell them, only thing that sells is the thing that we put our touch on, because the leather costs the same for everybody. The leather that Nike gets, that Puma gets, all of the leather costs the same for everybody. The difference is in the brand. And we popularize the brand. We popularize the brand. So whatever brand we popularize is going to be successful. We popularize the brand. Everybody all over the world wear and do what we wear and do. It's a fact. You don't have to fight to get at nobody else's table. You are the table. You are the table. When you figure that out, you don't have to worry about anything. You the table. You the 100%. You know exactly what it is that you want and what people will buy from you in your community. Go ahead and get it done. Stop fussing about other people's stuff. Get your own stuff. Hire your own kids. Hire your neighbors' kids. Hire the people in your community. And that's basically what you do, right? Day in and day out. So I want to thank you all for participating in the women's meeting. Thank Tasha. She's doing an awesome job. Tell your friends to come. And August is going to be the bomb. One question, I got to bounce. I got WBGO right now. They probably calling, going crazy. Anybody got a question? Yes.
So sister, you know, I give much respect to her. I'm a 22-year self-made entrepreneur in the city of Norfolk.
It's for her?
Reach your level. But I got a question. You talk about the barriers, right, that we face, women and people of color, Pacific. I'm concerned about folks changing policies that's barrier that's affecting us. So, you know, you talked about that, you talked about sitting on some board, speaking on behalf of the women, African Americans and all that, but still in all, we need people who are legislators, people who got political power to establish policies that affect us. Now, we got laws on federal law, we got the Community Reinvestment Act, right? The Community Reinvestment Act is a federal law that any bank that do business in your community, which we got a whole lot of them here, and I'm quite sure you went to a couple here, and they turned you around and gave you a hard time, right? But these banks that's doing business that get our public dollars, our taxpayer dollars, our tax subsidies, because they get 30-year tax abatements and stuff like that. We need somebody who's in political power to create policies to eliminate the barriers that we face to get seed money, grant money, funding, and all that type of stuff. We need banks. So we developed a responsible banking ordinance that we proposed to the city at one time. And most of the legislators that was on in those 9 seats, they agreed with it, but at one point, they wanted to hold the banks accountable. So we do need policies to be changed to help people like you and I, right, that's in this community, because the Reinvestment Act is for black people, low income, minorities, whatever you want to call us, we ain't all that. You know, they call us that, we ain't that. You know, we majority, right? So we need to keep saying that, we majority, and let them be the minority. But they make money off of us. But my thing is that, Mr. Mayor, we need some effective policies, and I know you created some with the one with the joint ventures that, you know, developers have to do to help people, but also we need to push that responsible banking ordinance to help these banks get back.
So I've never seen it, so if you could get it to me, I've never seen that. But in terms of the banking institutions, in terms of the administrative side, the city of Newark has taken their money out of specific banks because of that reason. One of them is Wells Fargo. We removed our money, all of our money from Wells Fargo because of the way they behave. And we go back to what we're going to do in the meantime. Our biggest opportunity and asset that we have is our financial ability. Just like I said, don't buy out of those stores. You don't like it, don't buy out of those stores. So the banks that don't do what we like, we take our money out of those banks. The problem is all of the banks are the same, right? So you're moving money out of one financial institution to another financial institution. So that's what we're doing. We're taking our money from people to give us leverage. We give you $200 million in banking, we take it from you and we put it in another bank. And so that's a way that we try to discipline them. In the meantime, I would love to see an ordinance that's enforceable for us to do some stuff to the bank straight ahead. So if you have that, I would love to see it. But the finance department, we already move our money from bank to bank purposefully and very intentionally about how banks use or relate to the community. And Community Reinvestment Act, obviously to these banks, is financial literacy. So that's, in their mind, they have a financial literacy program. They've done their business for the reinvestment in your community. I mean, that law is so broad and so vague. They do all kinds of things, and it counts as their reinvestment in your community. It's terrible, and it's something that we have to work in the long term, but we need to figure out some immediate solutions.
We want to thank Mayor Baraka with his busy schedule. We know that we really appreciate him for being able to stay and give us some wisdom. I appreciate that. So, does anybody have any more questions for Adina? Does anybody have any questions that pertaining to anything that was discussed here that we may be able to assist with? I see. You had your hand up, Ms. Blue?
It's a quick question for Adina. You know, with your businesses and everything, when you have all these ideas, did you have like a group of friends with you, or like people you went to create this, or it was like literally on your own, you went to your resources?
So I think there's always people around you. If I think I connected with you, there's always people around you that's going to believe in you. But what's more important is you believing in yourself. Did I have people around me telling me, yes, Adina, go for it? No, I did not. I remember when I opened my eyes, I was so broke and tired. I was literally sleeping upstairs in my office. My mother came literally in tears and asked me, why are you doing this? Why don't you just go back to your job, to the bank? Your life would be so much easier. My house was in foreclosure. I was going through a divorce. Everything wrong that could happen to a person was happening to me. But I do believe that things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Yes, that's right.
If I could go back, I had some of the hardest time when I first opened that IHOP. I don't know how I made it, but it was my faith in myself. And literally not having anywhere else to go. Imagine 7 houses in foreclosure. Imagine that. Imagine going to divorce and this man's trying to fight for something he hadn't do it. But I said to myself, the universe got me. I got me. And if you want something that you believe in, and you believe in it, the universe always show up for you. Think of a show like this, where let's be good at, yeah, go ahead.
When you started off, did you have the best credit? Like, I know credit is a big thing, but your credit is
development platform that you can get invested in these properties or businesses, being that this is a zone for opportunity zone
Yeah, I have a project that I'm doing right now across the street that's in
in the opportunity.
the opportunity zone. Yeah, so,
Developing a platform to go all around, because black business owners should get their fair share, and particularly women. So anywhere in these zones, you should be, and you should have a platform. So the more black developers or black business people, that's more for us, because that's the only way we can, some of us who hire, you know, some people, they have businesses, and they don't hire their own people, they go outside, you know, but, you know, I see a lot, I patronize your, IHOP and, Irvington.
Thank you.
We have vegans here.
how about Newark? How about Newark?
We have the catwalk vegans here.
Don't be shady.
You ain't tell them.
about Newark.
You ain't tell them.
I'm not shady, but,
You got Berkeley Street. I own Berkeley Street now. Yeah. I know, I don't usually agree with it.
so you do have a business, platform.
Yes, I do.
Opportunity zone, that's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am,
We
I
need
do.
to have that money trickle down to black, minority women, and black people overall.
Absolutely.
That's a great way to look at it.
You got a question? Oh, you had your hand up? Well, I know it's a bit much.
No, I have
Come
a
on,
statement.
you-
Just a
come
statement.
on, veteran.
Just
We
a
need-
statement.
thank you.
No, I just wanna, I'm very versed in opportunity zones. City don't make them, state don't make them. No. Federal make them, and they designate, and they the one who control the dollars to each zone, to enterprise, to empowerment. So when whoever developers or whoever come, they have to go to them first and follow by their rules. It's good that we understand them. That's the problem. We don't understand them, and we don't have the knowledge to understand how to apply them. Same thing with what you mentioned earlier, the community investment. Same thing with that. It's a lot of jargon that most of the time, I have to say it, that I'm gonna take my seat, that brown people don't understand. They don't understand how to apply it. So when everybody comes together to understand how to apply it, then you're going to see more of brown people all over and also get the money.
Thank you. You need a mic or you got a big voice?
I have a good
You got
sized
a big
voice.
voice.
Okay. Well, before I ask my question, I do want to say that I just really appreciate you telling your story because it is very inspiring. And
You got your big voice.
oh, sorry, I went back down. Okay. Well, sorry. I wanted to say that your story was very inspiring. The amount of strength and perseverance that you had is just, it really touched different parts of me that helps me kind of get through my own, because everybody got their own stuff going on, you know what I mean? A lot of things that we don't always talk about to our friends or family or whatever, and it really touched me. But my question is, you said that you were working on a development across the street and it was owned by public housing authority?
I bought the lot from them.
You bought it. Okay, so with those type of properties, because outside of the ones that the city owns, there are those, the methods to get those are a little bit different, correct? I understand? If you don't have like millions or even access to a whole bunch of capital, what would be the process or how is the process different in accessing those type of properties as opposed to the ones that the city of Newark owns?
So there's two phases to it. So I think if you're asking me the process that you get property from NHA, it's typically a public process. They put out a request for qualification. You send your qualification, usually it's a group of you. Then you get selected, you come to an interview. If they like you, or they feel like you don't have enough experience, development experience especially, then that process, you don't get paid. That's just plain and simple. It's all about the project. Can you do it? Can you deliver on your deliverables? Can you build this project? Do you have the access to the capital to pay $2 million for this lot? Right?
what if it's not for a business? What if it's for a residential?
So typically, a lot that big, NHA really owns big lot. So they don't own small lot unless you want to build a mansion now.
No.
Okay, just to be clear.
No.
NHA, their lots are huge. Essentially, they are housing trust fund. They're entrusted with some land to build for, I grew up in a public housing owned by Newark Housing Authority. So essentially, they're a trust that entrusted with some land to provide affordable housing for the residents of Newark. So they're supposed to go into this transaction with that intention in mind, that we're going to provide, at the end of this project, we're going to provide some sort of affordable housing for the residents of Newark. So for example, the project across the street is, the project across the street is going to be 89 units and commercial. But of that 89 unit, about 45% of it is rent restricted. So meaning, I wanted to build affordable housing downtown Newark. Because if you see what's happening downtown Newark now, the affordability is not for people that struggle when Newark was nothing. I grew up in Newark where when I went to college and I told somebody that I'm from Newark, they looked at me like I just crawled out of a hole. So I wanted to create a project downtown Newark that create affordability downtown Newark. That a person that's able to pay $950 a month for a one bedroom should be just as allowed to live downtown as someone that's able to pay $2,700 a month for a one bedroom. That was my mission. And when that project is done, we will bring about 50 units on board for that price. So a partnership like that is what NHA will enter in because it's fulfilling a mission of providing affordable housing for Newark residents.
So those type of projects are more so like partnerships with them. It's not like you just...
Yes. Even if you purchase a property from them, there's a way they can restrict you from doing certain things without staying in the project. They can do deed-restrictions. I mean, I don't want to go into it. It's boring stuff. Boring stuff.
I'm a realtor, so I understand.
Got it. Yeah. That's it. I hope I help.
No, you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for coming, staying, and all of that. So we just have one quick announcement, everybody. Young lady Tiffany, there's a fundraiser coming up this Saturday.
Thank you very much. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tiffany Fowler. Excuse my clothing right now. I'm a celebrity stylist and costume designer from North New Jersey. And I'll be having an event this Sunday. It's going to benefit multiple initiatives. It's called the Power Player Series Panel. And it's June 22nd at the Newark Conservancy. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. I have a promo code if you all are available. I'll be with Ms. Natasha. And we'll be raising funds for the Shawnee Morocco Women's Resource Center. I am a domestic abuse survivor, and I'm also in that campaign. We'll also be raising money for the Cloud Kids. They are the people, yeah, that's right. They are a nonprofit that was started at Rutgers University, and it just blossomed. And I'm also an Ubuntu Award nominee for innovation. And then Elemental Peace School of Performing Arts. If you guys know Miss Alina, we're performing currently at Cornbread right now for Open Mic Night. We're here every Thursday. And then also Shivani's historic Paris Fashion Week presentation. I'm very nervous, sorry. Shivani is my brand. I am not only just a designer, I am a PR and marketing agent for Elemental Peak and multiple acts here in this area. And I'll be showcasing my fashions in Paris, which will make me the youngest ever in the world. Thank you. Not to big myself up, but I understand I'm a best for guys, so whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it. And I is Tiffany. You can follow LMLP on Instagram. You can follow Shivani Brands on Instagram, and I'll leave my information with Ms. Natasha. But since I am PR for them, I do need to get back to the gig, and I just wanted to stop and say hi to all my sisters. I will be at the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Masani. I want to first apologize for getting here late and making Tasha hold us down. But we had an excellent speaker, Sister Adina, and she is such an inspiration to all of us. I just wanted to say that on the last meeting we had, we wrote down, people was giving me suggestions of what they wanted to hear or what we want to do, because we don't just need inspiration, we need those inspirational stories, but we also need boots on the ground, we need our hands in the pot. So on our next meeting, we just listening to what you were asking for. So on our next meeting, we're going to try to do what the mayor said and what Sister Dina said, but talk about that financial literacy part, that Sister asked about our credit schools. So we're going to try to, we're not going to try to, we're going to present, we're going to have two presentations next time. It's all going to be on financial literacy. We're going to have beginners, for those who, their bad credit needs to be fixed, and just don't want to talk about, and those who might have that partial credit, it's good, and we need to continue to watch it grow, fix it, to keep to make it continue, so that we then build up to what we want to do is have empowerment conferences where we're all, just ridiculously doing well. So we need, our next meeting will be in July. We must apologize that we don't get these dates that far in advance, so therefore when we do get them, we give them out to you at that time. So if the date comes and you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't you give me one of those? It's because we didn't get one of those. And we try to make sure that the mayor is always here to be able to speak, because he is an inspiration to let us know different things. And so, do look out for the emails, make sure that we have the correct information so we can get it out to you. We'll have a meeting in July, definitely, and we're going to try to do it. That's it.
Thank you. If anybody hasn't gotten an email from me, make sure that you have signed our sign-in sheet, and we'll continue to keep you abreast of things that are going on. So again, in July will be the women's meeting, but remember the mayor said that in August we're going to have a family meeting, which is going to be awesome. And my mayor is just so dope, right? Because like the vision and the planning for us all, like we're all included in this. So just look forward to it. We definitely need you, and I appreciate the sisterhood and our hashtag.